IELTS Listening Test, Zim Academic English School, 2020. This recording is copyright. You will hear a number of different recordings and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to Section 1. Section 1. You will hear a man registering for a medical checkup. First, you will have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Good morning. This is Victoria Health Center. How may I help you?
I would like to undergo a medical checkup. I'm playing on the tennis team this year and they're requiring me to get a physical exam, so I need to know what are the tests I should undertake.
Oh, I see. Before giving you a clear picture of a medical checkup, I would like to get some of your basic details down first. Is it okay?
Oh, sure it is.
So this is the first time you've contacted our health center, right?
Yes, that's right.
All right. Now I'll take a few details to find the most suitable service. Let's start with your name first.
My name is Wilson Bardsley.
Your last name, is it spelled Barsley?
It's B-A-R-D with a D at the end.
Oh, okay. And your date of birth?
July 15th, 1994.
And what is your current address?
It's room 307, Hardfort Apartment, Christchurch Road.
Can you please spell the name of the apartment once again?
No problem. It's H-A-R-D-F-O-R-T.
Great. Oh, I remember seeing the brochure of this building. It's a lovely place.
Yeah, that's true.
Can I have a contact number?
0115 988302.
01155888303.
No, it's 59, not 55. And the last number is 2.
Oh, sorry. I need a few more personal details. Do you have an occupation?
I'm a junior, majoring in engineering.
Now, let's get some of your medical background. Have you ever had any serious illness?
Not at all. I just sometimes catch a cold or run a fever.
Right. Do you suffer from any medical conditions?
I've had high cholesterol.
Okay. And does this run in the family? And do you take any medications?
Yes, I do take cholesterol medication, and I think it runs in the family. My parents also have high cholesterol.
All right. I'll make a note of that. So I think I've got all the information that I need. I'll call you back soon to set up an appointment.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 7 to 10. Oh, before you hang up, I have a few questions.
Of course.
How long will the medical checkup take?
Normally, it would take around 35 minutes. For a standard physical examination, we will check your heart, lungs, blood sugar levels, and eyes, ears, and nose. However, our doctor may recommend patients to do intensive checkup packages, including screenings to assess your risk of developing certain diseases if you already have high blood pressure or high cholesterol.
Oh, so I'll need to do an extra checkup package, I guess. One more thing. How much does this service cost?
The standard physical examination cost only £38. Wait, it's gone up by £10 this year.
Okay, I got it. Thank you so much for your help. I'll wait for your call.
Sure, I'll contact you as soon as possible. Should you need any further information, please do not hesitate to contact me via my email 002victoriahealthcenter@mail.com.
002 Victoria Health Centre at mail.com.
Exactly.
Okay, I noted that. Thanks again, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 2. Section 2. You will hear a guide talking about a museum tour. First, you will have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alvaro Silva, and I'm your guide on the Tour Bernabeu, a museum tour of Real Madrid, the best football club in the 20th century. As you are here today, I think you are all excited to learn more about the history of the club and to admire our trophy collection in real life. But before going further, I want to give you basic information about our schedule and the way our tour is run. We are open from 9:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day from Monday to Saturday. The museum closes 30 minutes earlier on Sunday and holidays at 6:30 p.m. There are some days when the museum is not open to visitors, and that is December 25th and January 1st. With regard to the ticket, it is €25 per ticket for adults, €18 for children under 14, and $13 for junior membership card holders. If you are a seasonal ticket holder, you can just get in the museum for free. Okay, now let's focus on the tour itself. You may have the opportunities to visit many interesting locations, including the prestigious trophy cabinet and even the pitch. But our tours always start at the stadium of the club. The Bernabeu Stadium has a capacity of 80,000 people, and you can only realize how big it is once you are inside. The second destination is the trophy room of the club. Needless to say, this is the room that every Real Madrid fan wants to visit when they are here. Throughout the 118-year history of the club, we have won a huge number of trophies, which contributes to the reputation of the greatest club in the 20th century. Specifically, we have won 119 trophies total to this day, 13 of which are European Cups. We defeated Liverpool to win our most recent European Cup in May 2018. After visiting the trophy cabinet, you can also have a look at the dressing room, where the team celebrates their wins right after the matches finish. The presidential box is where executives and authorities of the club work. You may not expect this, but you are allowed to visit the presidential box when you're in the tour. One of the places where I'm afraid you are not welcome is in the dining room because we want to maintain good hygiene in such an important place. Anyways, there are up to 12 different destinations that you could visit during the museum tour. But you also need to bear in mind the length of the tour. A normal tour would last around 90 minutes, but on match days, then your tour can be even extended to 4 hours. That is some basic information about the tour that I want you to know before we could start.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer questions 17 to 20.
There are also to-do and not-to-do things when you join the Tour Bernabeu. An interesting thing is that you are allowed to enter the press room, but definitely not when the press is going on. We just want you to have an idea of how the seats in the room are organized so that the press can continue smoothly. You can bring along your own cameras and take photos of any parts of the museum. You can take videos as well if you want. That is a nice way of keeping memories with your favorite club, right? Many have asked me if they can bring their pets with them when visiting the museum, and I'm afraid the answer is no. It is only possible to have a guide dog in some cases. Some others wonder if they can bring their suitcases along. Well, although we do not encourage you to bring a big suitcase by your side because it may cause you some inconvenience during the tour, it is absolutely okay to do so. One last thing that you need to remember is that it is not possible to leave and return during the length of a tour. When you return, you'll have to buy a new ticket and wait for the next tour to come. By the way, if you consider yourself a true fan of Real Madrid, you can register to be a Madridista, an official supporter of the club. There are a number of benefits you could have when you become a Madridista. First, you will have a personalized card which identifies you as a Madridista with your name and the club logo on it. But when you own the card, it does not necessarily mean that you can get to meet the players and ask them to have pictures with you or give you a ball with their signatures on it. You do stand a higher chance of getting those things than other fans, though. By the way, you have several other advantages when becoming an official Madridista, which includes a 15% discount when you make online purchases. And I think that's some little information that I want to share with you before we could actually start the tour. Take your time and enjoy every moment at the museum.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to Section 3. Section 3. You will hear two students talking about their internship. First, you will have some time to look at questions 21 to 27. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 27. Hey Mary, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yes, hi Tom. How are you these days? It's nice bumping into you.
I'm good, thanks. Oh, actually, I am a little concerned about the upcoming internship program. You know, like the one you did last year.
Oh, maybe I can help. So, what is bugging you?
Well, I've read all of the instructions and requirements from our university, and I also picked out some ideal companies to apply to. But I still cannot picture my responsibilities during an internship. Can you share with me about your experience?
I had to do quite a lot of work while I was being an intern at Midori. From small tasks like making tea and coffee for my boss, basically just some errands. But that was not what I came there for. I was just trying to make a good impression. I was more like a secretary.
Oh, so you were responsible for typing documents?
Not quite. I had to be at almost every meeting of my company to write down all the activities and report to my boss the important highlights.
That's quite a lot of work. Must have been a memorable working experience for you then.
Oh yes. I was most impressed by how the Japanese are always on time, which is something we should really learn from them. Oh, and not to mention how careful they are with work.
I bet it was a perfect opportunity for you to practice Japanese, huh? You always have such excellent academic results.
Well, that was also my thought at first, which is why I was so shocked to know that with what we learned at school, we barely scratched the surface. Observing Japanese people communicating at work made me realize all that I'd known was just theory, and there was so much more to learn when it comes to proper Japanese language.
Wow, I did not expect that to come from someone as good as you. But that must mean you've learned a great deal from 3 months of internship, right?
Of course, but I do wish it was longer than 3 months so that I could have chances to improve my language skill.
Yeah, I also think 3 months was too short.
But luckily, 3 months was quite enough for me to have a better grasp on the culture at the workplace, which might prepare me for a real job office in the future.
Right, I hope I can learn as much as you did, although I bet those 3 months were not easy on you at all, weren't they?
You got that right. I did prepare myself mentally, and so I expected it not to be easy, but little did I know, I was still underestimating its hardship. How naive of me. But you know what they say, no pain, no gain. Actually, the reason why I pushed myself pretty hard back then was that I thought people would notice my dedication and diligence and give me an official position at the firm, like an assistant or something.
I see.
After that did not happen, I am now hoping to perfect my Japanese and speak more naturally and fluently. Working step by step.
Wow, thank you for sharing. Mary, I understand it much better now. I am still worried though.
Why? If it's about your language level, then I think you can relax. Your Japanese is really good.
That's not really what I'm concerned about. It's just with this schedule at school, I'm afraid I could not handle all the work at the intern company without causing myself some problems. You see, overworking is one of my biggest fears, as I've already had a bad memory with it. Back in the first year of college, I studied at school 7 hours per day and worked 2 part-time jobs at the same time, which resulted in me being hospitalized for 2 weeks and permanently damaging my immune system.
That's terrible to hear, Tim, but you shouldn't be too worried. I think it would not be that exhausting.
Thanks, Mary. So the company you interned with was one in advertising, right?
Yeah, do you have anything in mind?
I am considering a few options. After giving it some serious consideration, I realised I've always loved teaching, so that would be my number one choice. Other than that, advertising is also growing on me, but I haven't quite looked into it that much. Oh, and my teacher recommended real estate as well, which is always something many of my classmates find interesting and want to intern in.
Right. I really think you should follow your instinct. Anyway, I'm graduating later this year, so I was asked to write feedback about the language teaching program at our university. I want to ask for your opinion as well.
For me, I feel like the 4-year program is not long enough to learn everything we need to know.
I think it's all right. It is the teaching method and the curriculum that needs improvement. I think it's all right. It is the teaching method and the curriculum that needs improvement. They are too old and too theoretical.
You have a point. That's why you had trouble putting the things we learn at school into use while you were an intern.
Exactly.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 28 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 28 to 30.
So, back to you, Tim. I can't believe your internship is just a few months ahead. Time really flies. So far, what have you prepared for the internship program this September?
Not much actually. I asked my instructor for advice, so she gave me a very thorough guidance about what I need to do. What form I need to fill in, who I should call, all that jazz. She was very supportive.
Mrs. Robinson, right? She was the best. So, have you had the chance to finish any of those tasks?
Well, not all of them. I tried to contact a company's director, but I only got to meet his assistant, who said she would call me back. Yet, I haven't got a reply from her in a week. I'm still waiting for it.
Just be patient. Right now, just finish all the paperwork. That's the best you can do for the time being.
I did. All the forms have been filled in and submitted. My roommate, who is also my best friend, actually volunteered to help me prepare them since I didn't have that much time. Then, the rest of the work, which is just filling them out, is on me, of course. That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 4. Section 4. You will hear a lecture about halo effect. First, you will have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40. Good morning, everyone. In today's lesson, we'll be looking into a very popular psychological phenomenon that most people in the world encounter, but hardly anyone notices. It's called the halo effect, or should we know it as halo error. It is the tendency for positive impressions of a person, company, brand, or product in one area to positively influence one's opinions or feelings in other areas. Let me give you an example. When an individual notices someone in a photograph who is attractive, well-groomed, and properly dressed, he or she will assume that that person in the photograph is definitely a decent person. This constant error in judgment reflects the individual's preferences, prejudices, ideology, and social perception. Halo effect is a type of cognitive bias where a person making an initial assessment of another person, place, or thing will assume false information based upon concrete information. Now that you have a clearer picture of what halo effect is, you may question its history, like why the halo effect is named after a religion-related term. Well, as some of you may know, the term halo is used in analogy with the religious concept, a glowing circle crowning the heads of saints in medieval and Renaissance paintings, bathing the saint's face in heavenly light. The observer may overestimate the worth of the observed by presence of a quality that adds light on the whole, like a halo. In other words, observers tend to adjust their judgment according to one obvious characteristic of the person known as the halo, or a few of his traits. In 1907, an American called Frederick L. Wells identified the effect, but it was not until 1920 that this effect was officially recognized with evidence provided by the psychologist Edward Thorndike, who also named this phenomenon as the halo effect in reference to a person being perceived having a halo. In his 1920 article, A Constant Error in Psychological Ratings, Thorndike set out to replicate the study in hopes of pinning down the bias that he thought was present in these ratings. Some researchers have studied it in relation to attractiveness and its bearings on judicial and educational systems. Thorndike originally coined the term, referring only to people, however. Its use has been vastly expanded, especially in the field of brand marketing. Speaking of its application in the area of marketing, the halo effect is used to explain customer bias towards certain products due to the favorable experience with other products produced by the same company. One common halo effect is when the perceived positive features of a particular item extend to a broader brand. A typical example is the manner in which the popularity of Apple's iPods aroused enthusiasm for the company's other products, such as iPhones and MacBooks. Another notable positive example for the halo effect can be found in food marketing. In specific, the health halo effect refers to the act of overestimating the healthfulness of an item based on a single claim, such as being low in calories or low in fat. A study in the US found that a low-fat claim led consumers to believe the item was healthy in other ways, specifically lower in calories. This halo effect gives us license to eat more than we otherwise would do, because we feel less guilty if a product is promoted as low in fat or calories. Sadly, this effect is particularly strong for overweight consumers. Well, businesses also benefit from the halo effect by making use of television shows, movies, and those who star in them to promote products. I guess many of you have heard about the blockbuster Wonder Woman, right? You may think that Gal Gadot, DC Comics, and the whole Justice League gang are the only big winners of this franchise. But they were just a small part of the picture. Actually, the latest beneficiaries of the movie's halo effect were Whitaker and Malem, the leather designers behind the superheroine's metallic leather armor. Keir Malem, one of the co-founders of this British brand, said that the success of this franchise has offered them marvelous opportunities to work with other bigger names in the fashion industry, two of whom were renowned Givenchy and Versace. Now, I'll continue with how the halo affects the political world. That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers. That is the end of the listening test.